Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on, Coriander? It's Slasher Movie Club time.
Yeah. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm hanging in there. Uh,
Oh,
and
there.
and tonight's cool, man, because we're talking about Road Games from
Yeah.
1981, directed by Richard Franklin. And wow is all I'm gonna say. Wow.
Hmm. I agree.
All right. Let's see who we have in the chat here. Let's see. Patrick's Patrick's in the chat saying Quid needed a cheetah. I don't know, Patrick. I don't know. Uh,
I
Slasher.
enjoyed Boswell.
Yeah, I did too. Slasher Fred's in the chat saying good day, mate. What's going on, man? All right. So let as I say, let's get down to brass tacks. Coriander, you had seen this movie before, correct?
Oh, yeah, many
Yeah.
times.
Yeah, I had not seen it since I don't know. I was a kid. I was really, really young, and I didn't remember much of anything about it. But let me just tell you something.
Nice.
And I know, I've said this about a couple of the movies we've done in this series, but we've done a lot of movies. This
Yeah, we
was,
have.
yeah, we have. This was one of the most fun movies that I've watched in this series and in
Right.
general in a long, long time. It was cool.
Yeah. Not only
It-
that, right. Not only that, but again, it's another, slasher movie that doesn't have the gore or the violence. And
right.
pretty much the killings are like off screen. So,
Yes.
yeah. And for
Yes.
it to still be this good and entertaining, yeah, you know you got a good one when all that is, coming into play.
Absolutely. I mean, the movie just had a lot of great atmosphere. There were a lot of really cool, tense scenes. And I'm just going to tell you
Yeah.
right now, Stacy Keach, he was absolutely awesome in this movie,
Yeah.
playing the lead role of Quid. Of
Yeah.
course, Jamie Lee Curtis, the Queen herself, she came in for it was a kind of small role, but she definitely made impact in the movie, and she just has great screen presence. And those two together, they were just great in this movie. I thought. What did you think of their
Yeah.
chemistry as co-stars?
I thought it was great. I mean, you could even at one point see that there was an unspoken attraction between those two.
Yes,
So,
absolutely.
yeah, it was good. They were
It
good.
was. It really was. We got Neon Black Reviews, Neil himself, in the chat saying, I swear I thought I had seen a lot of slashers, but here's another one I haven't seen yet again. Yeah, man. I
Nice.
I thought I had seen a lot of slashers too, but this series has really shown me how many that I either haven't seen or haven't seen in so long that I totally forgot about them. But um,
Yeah.
I think that's what's so fun about this series is revisiting all of these slashers from back in the day. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Neil, we're finding some gems. We really, really
I
are.
mean,
It's
it's
cool.
yeah, this whole, slasher club has made me realize that, you know, I've seen a shitload of slasher movies and
Hmm.
yeah, it's kind of crazy that yeah, it's been enjoyable.
Yeah,
So that there's been a
absolutely.
few that I haven't seen and it's been great. Yeah.
Absolutely. We got Lamar. Lamar's in the chat saying, "Good evening, Night Watch. What's going on? How you doing, man? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. And we'll be catching you tomorrow night at 7:30.
Yes, we
7:30.
will.
A special episode." Slasher Fred
Yeah.
saying Stacy Keach was known playing the main protagonist on the series Mike Hammer. Yes, he was, and I remember that show.
Mhm.
My mom loved that show. But let's get into some of the story of this movie. It's a very basic story, but
Yeah.
somehow it it wasn't dull. And I think again, credit to Stacy Keach because we spent a lot of time with him as Quid, this truck driver who's very
Hmm.
eccentric, and he's an interesting character. And
Yeah.
this movie would not have worked if Stacy Keach couldn't have pulled off this character. What did you think of him in this role, Coriander?
He was great. I mean, he brought humor to the role. I mean, he's playing Battle of the Minds with like the killer, and yeah, I mean, he's even trying to when he's on the road trying to figure out what is this guy in this green van doing?
Right.
I love how this is a mystery also. And he just
Yes.
brings it to that next level because he's just trying to figure out what the hell's going on because
Hmm.
as we find out into as we go into the movie that the cops pull him over thinking he's doing all this shit. So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the movie has a lot of mystery. The movie starts off, and you really don't have any clue as far as what's going on.
Mm,
He's at a what is it? It's a motel parking lot because he has to pull over
yep.
because he's obviously tired and so forth. And he had seen this hitchhiker, this lady hitchhiker, and of course he's thinking, "Oh, I should have given her a ride and seen what would have happened. Maybe I had a shot at her or whatever." But then he sees someone else, the stranger from the green van,
Mhm.
who takes her into the motel. And then you have this crazy scene where you see the lady in the motel playing a guitar, and
Mhm.
she does not notice that behind her the stranger has this guitar string, and he's obviously gonna kill her with it. So
Yeah.
again, it starts off kind of like interesting. You know what I mean? What would you think of that opening?
Yeah, I thought it was a great opening because at first I thought that chick was Hitch. So,
Yes,
because
Jamie
you
Lee
couldn't
Curtis.
tell that, yeah, you couldn't
Yep.
tell that it really wasn't you
Right.
know, until that scene when
Yeah.
you saw that it wasn't.
Yes,
So,
I
yeah.
agree. Yeah, that I actually thought that too at first. I was like, "Wait a minute. What's going on? Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't die in the first 10 minutes of a movie." Crazy stuff.
Right?
Let's see, real quick in the chat. We got my man Heroic Waffles in the chat saying, "Hey, Night and Coriander. What's going
Hello.
on, brother? How you doing?" How are you doing, man? Fred was saying this movie is a lot like Duel or Joyride. I totally agree with that. And all three of these movies have some really cool atmosphere and tension and a lot of road.
Yeah,
uh,
definitely.
Gorephobes in the chat saying, haven't seen this, believe it or not, so I'm not going to join you on this one. All right, man. I
Oh,
hear you.
wow.
It's a good
I need
one
to
to
check
check
it
out, man.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is free. Or is it free? I don't
I
remember
think
if
it
it.
was a couple bucks. I don't think it was
Yeah,
free.
yeah, I think
2B, right?
yeah, Tubi or Amazon, one of those. Anyways, it's worth it. It really is. Um Shane's in the chat saying Jamie Lee Curtis plays a more sophisticated character here than in most of her other slasher films where she played high schoolers and college kids. One of her early adult roles, I think. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. It was a little bit more sophisticated for sure. Lamar saying a cult classic. I agree.
Yeah.
And Gore saying, don't forget to hit the like, guys. Absolutely, man. Thank you so
Nice.
much. We would definitely appreciate the video getting a like and also a comment in the comment section letting us know what you think of this movie. Have you seen it? Have you not seen it? Are you going to plan to see it? I would definitely recommend this movie. It was
Yeah,
fantastic. But
definitely.
let's, yeah, let's move on a little bit. I mean, we see that he's on the road, and he had seen before that, I'm sorry, that in the morning when the trash men are coming to pick up the trash, that this
Yeah.
stranger is looking out through the window and looks very nervous and all of that type of stuff. And Quid is just trying to put the pieces of this puzzle together. His
Mhm.
dingo, he calls him a dingo, but later on,
Boswell.
Boswell,
Yeah.
who was
Yeah,
just so cute, his
he
companion,
is.
he let him out to stretch his legs, and Boswell is smelling the trash and kind of going crazy. So anyways, long story short,
Yeah.
Quid is thinking something's up, and he's watching this
Yeah.
guy watching from the window. And anyways, that's kind of what gets the ball rolling with him thinking this guy murdered the hitchhiker, and so forth. So he's on the road and he keeps seeing this friggin' green van. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It
Yeah, he
was
does.
crazy. Um, and he also sees that guy, your boy, the guy who is
Gee.
driving in the car. He's like a cautious driver on the highway, going like
Yeah.
super slow, and he's got his boat attached to the back of his car. And I think this was a little bit of comic relief, so to speak. But the first person that Quid comes into contact with is a wife um, of this family that Quid had seen driving along the road a whiles back. And she just
Yeah.
jumps in the truck. What'd you think of that? She gets him to stop and then just jumps inside of
Yeah.
his truck to get a lift.
Yeah. Well, how she got him to stop, she like, what did she tied shit like across the road or something?
Yes,
And
yes.
he
It's like
slams on
ribbon,
his brakes. Yeah. So that was kind of smart and dumb, because
right?
that could have caused an accident.
Yeah,
But
it could have.
yeah, I mean, I thought this was a pretty funny scene because he even was saying, I think at one point they were talking about what her husband does. And when
Yes.
he was driving by him, he was like, "Oh, I bet this guy's like an accountant or something." And he was
Yes.
right. She's like, "Well, how'd you know that?" And she got like suspicious of him. And they start talking about like the killer on the loose. And she's like having these weird thoughts like, "Oh my God, is it this dude?" And
Right.
yeah, it was a great scene.
Yeah, and it really sets up for a little bit of payoff near the end of the movie, the final act and the end of the movie, because like you said, she becomes suspicious of him because, he's a
Yeah.
truck driver, he's on the road, he's kind of odd, he's very eccentric and odd, but yet he's got charisma, you know?
Right?
And you have that scene where they pull over, and again, this is in Australia, there's nothing out there at all. Very cool looking and atmospheric, but there's nothing out there. And then he sees the friggin' green van again, and this is like in the middle
Yeah.
of nowhere, and the
Hmm.
guy's got the stranger, he's got trash bags and he's digging ditches. I mean, with a shovel. I mean,
Yeah.
look, man, you gotta put one and one together and figure this thing out, man. It's just looking real bad. But it was a great scene
Yeah, it is.
because there was a lot of tension because as the viewer, you're figuring things out too, along with Stacy Keach's character. What'd you think about
Yeah.
that scene? Of course, the wife, she's just like, what's going on? What are you doing? But what'd you think of that scene,
Yeah.
Coriander?
I thought it was great because, like you said, they're playing the game, and she's like, I see a guy on the side of the
Hmm.
road. What did she? I don't know how she said it, like digging a ditch or something.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he's like, what? And he pulls over, and sure enough, it's the guy who he saw in the motel who
Yep.
was looking creepily out the window. And
Yep.
here he is now digging stuff up. Yeah, how could you not get suspicious?
Right?
So, and then that makes like Stacy Keach like get all kind of weirded out, which kind of tweaks out that woman even more. So
Yes.
yeah,
And
it
she
was great.
and she runs from him. She's running and
Yeah,
running,
she
and I don't know
does.
where she thinks she's gonna run because, like I said, they're in the middle of
Yeah,
nowhere. There is nothing out there.
yeah,
And all of a sudden she comes like it looks like it's the edge of the friggin' world. It's like
right.
I was like, what the hell? I mean,
Yeah,
again, this is the
man.
outback, so but
Right.
very cool stuff, but he's able to kind of calm her down and take her to the next it's like a rest stop or wherever. And
Hmm.
anyways, the story just kind of keeps going, but he keeps seeing the van as he's driving, and just these weird things going on, and the tension is
Yeah.
building because you're wondering what's going to happen. And he's such an interesting character that he's, talking to himself or talking to Boswell, the dingo,
Yep.
and he's trying to
Yeah.
figure out what's going on, with this green
Yeah.
van. What's in the contents of the van. He saw like a
A cooler.
cooler on the seat at one
Yep.
point when he was passing by, and it looked, I don't know what you thought, but it looked like the thing moved and you saw the stranger put his arm on it. I'm like, did I see the cooler move? What's going on? But just
Well,
little things like this,
depending on what's in it, if you hit a bump, it could move.
That's
So
true.
I don't
Very
know,
true.
you're
Very
funny.
true. I know, I know. Fred was saying Stacy Keach and Jamie Lee Curtis have both worked with John Carpenter. Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
If you think about it, Jamie Lee in The Fog, she was hitching a ride too in that movie.
Yes, she was.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yep.
And he
Uh,
keeps along the way with seeing this green van, he keeps seeing Hitch too. So,
right. Yeah,
yeah.
he calls her Hitch. Her name is Pamela, and
Yep.
there's multiple times where he sees her and
Yeah.
he just passes by because he's not supposed to
Yep.
pick up any hitchhikers. It's
Right.
like a
Because it's
regulation.
illegal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the way that the camera is showing Jamie Lee Curtis, you never really know it's I mean, you figure it's her, but you never see her
Yeah.
face until, like, maybe the 4th time that he was gonna pass her, and then he stopped, and then, she turned around, and then obviously you saw that it was, the queen herself. But, um I thought that was kinda cool because, you kind of expected her to be in the movie earlier. I don't think she made it into the movie until maybe about 20 minutes in. But it was kinda cool because, again, you don't know what to expect when you're watching this movie,
Hmm.
and being that it's a mystery, I thought that was good. Um,
Yeah.
let's see. Prometheus is in the chat saying, "Hey, Night Watch and Corey, what's going on, man?" Patrick saying, "Mike Hammer Down Under." Maybe he was a medical transport. I don't know about that, Patrick. I don't know. uh, Prometheus saying, "What are you trying to say, Corey, about Jamie Lee Curtis hitchhiking?" She was a rebel. She was a rebel.
Right.
Absolutely. But I
Yeah.
think this is when the movie got even more interesting because obviously Jamie Lee Curtis is just great on screen. And they
Yeah.
talk about and there's Boswell. He's so cute. Um,
He is. And when those guys, like whoever, assaulted that dog, it
mhm,
was like, oh my God, you felt bad for that poor dog because, yeah, that was a
right.
shitty thing to friggin' do.
Right, right. And of course, that's a little inside thing too, because people that Quid comes into contact with at like these rest stops or stores or whatever, they keep saying, "Is that a dingo or is that a dog?" Or and he says, "No, it's a dingo." And of course, um,
Yeah.
there dingoes are not looked upon favorably. But of course,
No.
Quid thinks he's awesome. He's like he's a great dog, a great dingo, and he's
Yeah. He's like, he
smart
never
and
barks,
he
right?
never barks yet.
Yeah.
but
Right?
but but yeah, but Jamie Lee Curtis playing Hitch, her real name is Pamela. She starts to try to figure this thing out about this mysterious guy in the green van. And so again, this is the
Yeah.
type of movie, and I got a great question for you at the end, Coriander. So remind me about my question. Um, but
Okay.
this movie, it really works the characters and it works the dialogue within the mystery and tension. And I thought it was great. I mean, some of the
Yeah.
scenes that they had at this point in the movie were just it was just fun watching them because the dialogue, it's really snappy dialogue, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And it has a lot of personality for both of these characters. But then you've got the scene where the cops pull them over. Now that was pretty tense, man, because it's like,
Yeah.
oh no, he comes to find out that she's the daughter of like an American diplomat, and he kept telling her, "Why don't
Yeah.
you let your father know where you're at, that you're okay?" And she says, "No, I'm not going to do
Hmm.
that." But what did you think of this scene when the cops pull him over? These cops are funny too, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they were asking him, "Where were you?
Hmm.
Let me see your trucking log," and
Yes.
which apparently they wouldn't have done that in real life. But
Hmm.
yeah, and it's crazy because that's when they're like questioning him about these missing girl, and you
Yes.
know, and possibly thinking that it's him, and he's putting two and two together like, holy shit, they're thinking it's me. And yeah, he's like, once he like drives away and he keeps thinking to himself, they can't prove it and blah blah blah. And
Right.
yeah, it was crazy. It was great. This whole
Yeah.
movie, it was very entertaining.
I agree. And you just don't know what to expect. Um,
You don't.
but then you have the scene where, after that, and it was a very tense scene, by the way. I think us describing it or talking about it doesn't really do it enough justice. It was very tense,
Yeah, no.
and you really thought that the cops were going to find out that Hitch was in the truck because she was hiding at this point, and they suspect that Quid, could be this killer. You know, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of not evidence, but it's a lot of odd coincidences that points to him possibly being the killer. So you're just wondering what's going to happen. But then they have this scene where they have to he has to pull over because you're supposed to get a certain amount of rest on the road, and they're just
Mhm.
again chilling. But again, the conversation and the connection that they have as characters was really really good. I mean, I really enjoyed it. But
Yeah.
at one
Yeah,
point,
but
when Hitch walks away to kind of use the bathroom and all that type of stuff, she goes over, I don't know, maybe it's about 40 feet away or something like that, maybe more. But who does she see in the dead of nowhere, also on the side of the road? The green van.
yeah, the
And it's,
lightning strikes and it
yes,
illuminates, and it was creepy because she wasn't
yes,
expecting it.
it
And you're
really
like,
was.
wow, this fucking guy is now creeping on these guys. So yeah,
Right? Yeah, it was like, so again, this is part of, the quote unquote games that are being played. Like Quid, he played games to pass the time as a truck driver, as he sees
yeah,
people on the road, he's guessing what their profession could be or what their
yeah,
personalities are like or whatever. But this mysterious stranger, the killer, he's playing a different type of game. And so
yeah,
it's just again, it's really, really cool.
yep,
Shane in the chat says, "Hi, guys. Thanks for the fun chats. Interesting that Richard Franklin was a protege of Hitchcock and shadowed him on the set of Topaz. And Road Games is nothing if not Hitchcockian. That is true. And
yes,
Richard Franklin also, and I was going to mention this later with some of our trivia too, but he directed Psycho 2, and Psycho 2 is a really good film. He's done some other films too, like FX2 and stuff like that. But Psycho 2 was just really, really good. It really, really was.
yeah.
But yeah, thanks for that, Shane. Neil was saying maybe the dingo ate your baby.
A Cry in the Dark. I remember that movie like in the freaking
Uh,
80s, man. Yeah, that was
yeah,
a great one.
right. But yeah, that scene where she sees the lightning and it illuminates, and she sees the green van there. It was a great scene. It really, really was. But
Yeah,
the next morning, they have this cute little moment. This guy Quid, he's so interesting. He's a good guy. He's very
right?
he's very charismatic, and the conversation is
Mhm.
really cool. And she's you know uh getting some romantic feelings for him or whatever, and he's just trying to make sure that she does the right thing and let her family know where she's at, because she's part of a,
Yeah,
a rich powerful family. But it was a cute moment, I thought.
definitely.
It didn't follow the regular tropes, but he gets her to the next rest area, and she does call her family and says, "I'm okay." So,
Mhm.
she's like, "I'm not coming home yet," and all that type of stuff. But now we have that great scene in the bathroom, because once he's
Yes.
finishing getting his truck situated at the truck stop, what does he see, Coriander? He sees the
Yeah,
green van. Son of a
right?
bitch.
Yeah,
So, the big thing is, okay, the killer is here. He realizes that the killer is in the bathroom, and he actually goes
mhm.
into the bathroom. He picks up, looks like a piece of a fan.
Well, he kinda peeks under the stalls to see make sure he's in there, and he sees a
Yes.
set of feet, so
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. So he's assuming that it's, the killer. And
yeah,
probably one of the only moments, where I was like, come on, Jamie Lee, don't do that. She starts to check out the van while Quid is in the bathroom. And he's yelling at the person in the stall. He's threatening him, all these types of things. And then come to find out it's some kid who a motorcycle guy or whatever. And right when we
yeah,
see that, Jamie Lee Curtis realizes when she goes into the van, and it looked like it was empty, but in the back,
yeah,
the stranger slash killer was laying down, sleeping underneath a big blanket. So of course he uncovers himself, and then it cuts. And again, like you said, it's not a lot of gore or violence in this movie, at least not on screen, but you you're tense. It's really well done.
Yeah.
What did you think of that
Yeah.
scene?
It was great because every once in a while you'd have Quid come out to make sure, yep, the van's still there, she's still checking it
Right.
out. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's when you find out that the dude in the stall wasn't who they thought it was. And
Right.
yeah, it was because you didn't expect the guy to be there. And
Right.
when he reveals himself, you're like, oh shit, because you
Yes.
knew that Hitch was fucked. And sure
Yeah.
enough, they were
Yeah.
gone when he came out of the bathroom.
Yeah, so Quid sees that the van is gone, and then all and I love this scene. It's
I
I
know.
don't know, it's just crazy, but he
It
um
is.
he takes the guy's motorcycle and he starts,
Yeah, man.
revving it up, and he drives it kind of like in a little bit of a semicircle and looks like he's about to peel out and try to chase down this van, and he falls over.
Crashes, right?
He loses balance on the bike, so then he has to go
Yeah,
back over to his truck, and he's got to bring the front of the truck down so he can drive it.
yeah,
But all the while, he's telling people, stay away from me because they're thinking that he's weird or maybe he's dangerous or whatever. And so it's just a
yeah,
really it's kind of a pulse pounding scene, and the
yeah,
music was actually good. I actually enjoyed the music and that little
yeah,
harmonica
yeah,
melody,
right?
and
Yeah,
that dun 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 dun,
yeah,
and so he's chasing down this van. He's trying to catch up to it, and sure enough, he's on the road. And again, this is
yeah.
the middle of nowhere. This place does not
Mm,
exist. That's how much it's in the middle of nowhere. You know what I'm saying? I'm just joking, but
yeah,
it's like literally nothing out there. And who does he
yeah.
come behind, Coriander? He c he
Oh
comes
God.
behind the guy towing his boat, and then the guy is,
Yeah,
like, driving all over the road, hogging up both lanes, and
yeah. Almost like on purpose. He knows
Yes!
that Quid's trying to get past, but he's still,
Yes!
yeah, pulling in front of
Yes!
him, and
And I'm like, "What is this friggin' guy doing?" It's it's
yeah, the
crazy.
moron. He got
Yeah.
his though.
He did because the boat gets destroyed because obviously
Yeah, it does.
Quid's rig can do that, but anyways, he
Yeah,
he's on the road, he's trying to catch up, and you have these scenes where he's just driving at night, he's getting tired, he's almost like having delusions. I think the cinematography was really good here, and it's really making you feel kind of out of it like he is.
yeah.
But he comes upon the van again, and it's out,
Okay.
kind of a little bit to the side of the road. What did you think of this scene? It was really well shot,
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of creepy because look at that. That looks creepy right there. You
right?
pull up, it's foggy, it's dark, you don't know
Mhm,
what to expect. And of
mhm,
course, they're not in there. So he's like walking in the woods and he's hearing moaning, like, what the hell's going
mhm,
on? And
right,
he assumes it's them. And
mhm,
he like turns around. If he went a little farther, he would have noticed that, oh shit, it was the married couple that he
mhm,
went by. So
mhm,
he went back, yeah, and he broke the window and checked the cooler, which had food in it instead of
yep,
a head or whatever he was
right.
expecting.
And
And
that's what we were expecting too, was a body part,
right,
right?
right. So yeah, and then again, you're like, holy shit, well, what the hell's going on? Because
Right,
then that made you think that was the killer, but almost like with Scream, when you think you know who the killer is, but then you're like, oh shit, something happens that makes you think, well, then it can't be him now because
yeah.
there's nothing in it but food.
That's
So
right.
yeah,
And that's
yeah,
exactly what he thinks, and he's like, "Ah, screw it." He's like, "I've been
yeah.
wrong the whole time." He gets back in
About
his truck.
her.
Yes.
Yeah,
And so, he kinda is, he's upset because he really thought she was cool, and maybe there would have been
yeah,
something there or whatever. But he gets in the truck and he's driving away, Coriander, and then you see the back of the rig is open. And of course, we
yeah.
know from a few scenes before this that he locks the back of his truck so that the meat can stay refrigerated inside. So
Mhm.
I'm thinking, "Oh crap, the killer must be in there because the killer wasn't, in the van." And it was again, this movie really took you in a lot of different directions. I really enjoyed it. And I'll let you get to the scene where he checks out the back. But also, let me know what you were thinking when you saw that door swinging open, in the back of the rig. What were you thinking? Because I thought
Yeah.
the killer was in there.
I didn't think the killer was in there, but I thought he would have found like a body or something, a piece
Mhm.
of something.
Mhm.
But yeah, I mean, it again, that scene brought a lot of tension, like you said, and yeah, you didn't know what to expect, honestly, because yeah, this is a movie where you don't know what to expect. So
Absolutely. And
yeah,
and when he's in there searching, again, you're just waiting for the ball to drop, basically. And
yeah,
he's looking, and he doesn't see anything in there, but he notices that the two slabs of meat in the front were they were defrosted a little bit, because he can see, that they're starting to sweat or whatever. And I was just thinking to myself, "What's going on?" And then and I guess what I'm saying is after that, he's thinking to himself, "Well, I was supposed to have, let's say whatever, let's say, 50 racks of beef, but now he notices that there's two more. So he's thinking that the company gave him two extra ones. But of course, me as a viewer, and I don't know, let me know what you thought. I'm thinking that the killer. I don't know what I was thinking. I was just thinking that the killer did something, obviously, because the door was open. What were you thinking?
yeah. I didn't know if like because it's funny because yeah, he starts counting his pigs just to make sure
Yes.
everything's there, and
Hmm.
yeah, it was just a weird scene because
Yeah.
I don't know what you didn't know what to think, honestly.
Right. Which I loved, because I was like,
Yeah,
this movie it's such a simple story, but it's got a lot of depth in it. It really
it
does. And
does.
and I'm
Yeah.
just I guess, and I love those types of movies, these types of movies, because I'm constantly waiting for those answers to this mystery that they're setting up, and
Mhm.
it was just fantastic. But he's on the road, he's trying to count how many, pigs he's supposed to have. He's trying to figure it out. He's getting tired, and then they do some of these tricks in the camera where they show his eyes on the van that he's behind. He sees the van. He's trying to figure out what's going on. He's talking to Boswell. Boswell's cute, and again, you're just wondering what's going to happen. But once again, the
Yeah.
movie has another smart scene where he comes up on a way station and he has to stop. It's a regulation. So he sees that the van stops, or it runs out of gas, I believe it was.
Yeah,
But
it
there,
ran out of
but those,
gas.
yeah, but those cops are there, and they're coming up to the
Yep.
van. He's at the way station. Yeah, I guess they might be about, I don't know, maybe 100 feet apart or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's watching the van, and the guy who's at the way station is a friend. They've obviously done business before, and he's trying to just do small talk. And so the scene is really, really cool, man. I really I dug it. What would you think of that scene?
Yeah, it was a good scene because, he even was saying at one point, this guy's going to be right. He's got to run out of gas. And
Yes.
sure enough, he was right. He did run out of gas. And
Yes.
yeah, his truck was heavier than it was supposed to be, but
Yes.
the guy was still going to, where they knew each other. He's like, ah, no big deal.
Hmm.
We'll let you go. And he was trying
Right.
to hurry up and go through. And that guy was like, oh, come in and have a drink or whatever. And
Yeah.
he's like, I can't, I gotta go. And yeah, and I was surprised that, yeah, those cops, they helped that guy wheel his van over to get gas,
Yep.
and they're still thinking because it's funny because the van leaves and then you see Quid following the van and then you see the cops following Quid.
Right.
So yeah, this is when it gets really interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty much the finale of it. And before we
Yeah.
get to that, just to catch up into the chat, Shane was saying, "Thanks, I forgot about Psycho 2." Yeah, man, Richard Franklin definitely did a great job with Psycho 2 and this. He really, really did.
Yeah.
Um, Rusty's in the chat saying, "Evening zoners, what's going on, Rusty? How you doing?"
Nice.
Um, but yeah, so this finale, he's trying to catch up to this van, and this is where the cops start following Quid because they're still
Yeah.
suspicious of him. And
Yep.
so it's like this, it's like the slowest chase ever on film.
At one
Because
point, hell yeah, it is. Christ, we
yeah,
could have ran faster.
yeah, we could have because the van is going down these narrow streets and
Yeah.
alleyways and
Yeah.
making circles, and so Quid is
And Quid
following
has
him.
this huge truck, yes, trying to
Yes.
get through all this, and it's getting tighter and tighter.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you're just wondering what's gonna happen here. So he gets to a point where as he's driving down this tight alleyway, the sides of his truck are catching the sides of the walls, and also above there's like this I don't know, it's like a metal like siding or something like that. But anyways, he gets stuck, and then he tries to open his door, and of course he can't open the door to get
Yeah.
out. So at this
And the
point you're
friggin'
like,
cops behind them smash into him, and they get stuck.
yes. Yes,
So,
and
yeah.
then what happens, but
Yeah.
the stranger gets out of the vehicle. This is the
Creeper,
first
right?
yeah, this is the first time that you really see him, plainly for, like, more than a brief glimpse,
Mhm.
and you're just wondering, "What the hell is he gonna do?" Now, let me just say, for anyone who has not watched Road Games, obviously, we've talked a lot about this movie, we've gone into spoilers, but if you have not seen it, you might wanna wanna pause this video because 'cause we're getting into the big spoilers of the movie. But, um, the guy comes up to the truck and he smashes out the lights and stuff. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "You son of a bitch," right? But
Yeah, man.
I had no idea what he was gonna do. Tell me what you thought of this scene, how it was playing out, and what you thought that the guy was gonna do.
Well, for one thing, it didn't look good because Quid was stuck in there. He couldn't get
Right,
out either door. And you
right.
had this guy coming up, smashing his lights, coming up onto the front of his truck, God knowing, who knows what he could have done. But
Right.
just as he's about to do whatever he was going to do, the cops free themselves, and he kind of gets like, "Oh, I got to get going." And
Mhm.
this is when, yeah, I mean, he takes off and Quid's trying to go after him, and his truck's caught, and yeah, it's a
It
crazy
was
scene when he finally does break through, and he
mhm.
ends up on top of the van, of the
Yeah.
freaking green van.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and
it was
and
great.
the way it was shot, or filmed, it was really, really cool because you only saw the point of view of Quid. You didn't see, the van until Quid
Yeah.
was able to get out of the truck, and he sees that the van is crushed a little bit, and so then he's going to the door of it, and again, all spoilers from this point, guys, the main spoilers. Um,
Yeah.
the guy just shows up out of the shadows. He does his best Michael Myers impersonation and shows up out of the shadows, and he has that guitar string, and he tries to choke Quid out. And you know, let me know what you think too. But at this
Yeah.
point, I'm just so amped up because you've been following this mystery,
Mhm.
for 80 minutes plus or whatever. And I'm just like, come on, man, don't let him choke you. Get out of it. Get out of it. And I'm trying to
Right?
struggle just like Stacy Keach is in this scene. What were you thinking about that?
Yeah, I mean, after everything that he's been through, he's
Hmm.
so close to, giving the cops who they're looking for. And
Yes.
yeah, here he comes thinking that holy shit, he's possibly gonna get killed. But
Right.
yeah, thank God, and it's crazy because he busts out of it and then he starts strangling him with the string. And then the
Yes.
cops show up and you're like, no, because it looks like he's the bad guy. They
Right.
grab him, and then the actual killer's like sneaking away, like backing away
Yes.
slowly, trying to creep out of there. And
Yes.
Quid's like, just look in the van, check the goddamn van. And finally
Right.
they did. And Jamie's there. And yeah, he's like, one cop finally, the bad guy like bumps into a cop and he's like, where do you think you're going? And
Yeah.
yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I was just like, "No." I was so look, man, obviously this is full spoilers, but I was like, "No, don't tell me that the cops are gonna either arrest him, arrest Stacy Keach,
Yeah.
or kill
Right?
him. And like you said, the killer was like sneaking away, backing up and stuff. And I'm like, no, no, there he is.
Yeah.
And I
Right?
think I had that reaction because the movie really brought you along on this ride throughout the whole movie. It built up tension and mystery,
Mhm.
but just as importantly, you had this great character in Quid, played by Stacy Keach, that you really cared about, that you connected to, and that's the reason that this finale had so much weight, and it was great.
Yeah.
Listen. I know I said it, but
It was.
I absolutely love this film. It is so
Yeah.
freaking good. I'm so glad that we got a chance to revisit it. Um, and we got a few fun facts for you guys too, but let me just also catch up to the chat here. We got Death Central in the chat. What's going on, man? Kevin's in the house saying, "Hey guys, nice setup night." Thanks, man. I did see that one. Yeah, did
Nice.
you enjoy it? Let us know if you enjoyed it, because I'm telling you, man, I really, really, I dig this movie. It was really,
Yeah.
really cool.
Yep.
But let's go through a few fun facts here, Coriander. I'm gonna throw up these cards and let's see what we get. Our first fun fact for the night: a real plague.
Yeah, the story that Quid tells Hitch while camping is actually a true story of that filming location. The scene was shot at an old telegraph station that was to serve an Australian town that was destroyed by a plague of rabbits.
Wow.
Could
All
you
right.
imagine? I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine seeing rabbits, destroy a friggin' town. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's crazy
And
shit.
yeah, and this is that scene. That's just crazy that it was it was a real actual plague of rabbits.
Yeah, yeah,
Rabbit
man.
rabbits.
Something.
Right? Okay, our second fun fact. Stacy Keach.
Learned how to drive a 16 gear semi truck for this role.
Nice. Yeah, I mean he was very convincing as a truck driver. But it's funny though cuz he
Yeah,
kept saying throughout the movie to multiple characters he would say just because I drive a truck doesn't mean I'm a truck driver, you know? So
right.
he was funny, man. He was
Yeah,
he was great. He really was a cool character.
yeah.
Let's see. Our next one, a tough set for Jamie.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis said she felt a certain amount of hostility and prejudice while on set. One of the crew members even approached her and asked, "What is it like putting Australians out of work?"
Oh wow. That's crazy,
Yeah,
man. It just
right?
goes to show you when you're filming in other countries, man, you might be dealing with, different perspectives than
Yeah,
what we have over here in America. But at least they
right,
got through it. The
right.
next one, the 007 connection.
Yeah, Richard Franklin and Everett DeRoche developed the character of Quid with Sean Connery in mind for the part, but the film's budget wouldn't allow it.
Okay. I mean, look, man, and anyone who's watched us long enough, um, I absolutely love the late great Sean
Yes.
Connery. There's no
Yeah.
doubt. There's no role that he could not play.
And
But
he's
I'm
got
just
that voice.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. He was just amazing. But I gotta
Yeah.
admit, man, Stacy Keach hit a home run in this movie. He was
He
fantastic in
did.
this role.
He
So
made this movie.
he
So yeah.
did. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm glad it worked out the way it did. Our final fun fact: the film ending.
Yeah. Where their severed head falls into the mop bucket. It was an afterthought. The distributors wanted the film to have a more shocking conclusion, so production went back and shot the final scene at the butcher shop. And Richard Franklin dislikes this ending.
I could imagine that he does, because again, and I think it was Shane in the chat that was talking about this. He was a protege of the great Alfred Hitchcock, and
Yeah.
I think the way that they looked at filmmaking or tension or horror or whatever is not so much what you see, but it's what you
Hmm.
don't see, setting the mood, setting the
Right.
atmosphere. And although I didn't mind the ending, I could see why he didn't particularly like it you know
Yeah.
but when I saw it I was just like, oh wow, well that's what was in the back of the cab. you know so
Yeah,
it
right?
was like, wow. um real quick in the chat as we get ready to head on out here. Um, Kevin was saying it was all right, not my usual type, but I also was frustrated at the end before they caught the real killer. Haha. Yeah, man. I was like, come on, get this son of a bitch, you know? So
Yeah.
Shane was saying, so much fun hearing your opinions on this somewhat obscure film. Love JLC and all of her slasher roles, even though here she is more damsel in distress than the hero, which of course is Stacy's role. Absolutely, and hey, we're glad to talk about some of these films that don't get talked a lot about. And again, this is a gem. I'm so glad. I'm so glad
Yeah.
I found this movie. I really am. But we're glad that you like hearing our opinions, man. It's good. That's what we like
Right.
doing. Uh,
Yeah.
Neil saying, I can believe it. Have you seen Monty Python? Haha.
Who hasn't, damn it?
Right? I love Monty Python.
Right?
Mr. Dan is in the chat saying, "What's up, guys? What's going on, Dan? How
Hello.
you doing, man? Good to see you." He's saying, "I need to see this again."
Yeah,
Yes,
you do.
yes, man. It's a great movie, and if I'm not mistaken, Scream Factory did a release of it. I'm not
Ooh,
exactly sure
nice.
when, but yeah, I'm gonna pick it up. I'm gonna pick it
Nice.
up because it's just a great movie. It's got some cool special features from what I saw, and again, this is the type of movie that it's a fun movie, it's a mystery, and it's got a great lead character that pulls you in. And to
Mm,
me, that's a recipe for awesomeness. But
yeah.
here's my question, and I want to pose this question to you, Coriander,
Right.
and also to the chat or anyone watching the replay. Please let us know in the comment section. But this movie is definitely a movie of tension and atmosphere. Again, Richard
Yeah.
Franklin, a protege of Alfred Hitchcock, similar to things that you would see like in Psycho, where scenes would play out for minutes and minutes on end, but it's
Hmm.
tense and atmospheric the whole time. My question to you and to everyone watching is, could a movie like this not only be made today, but could it be successful for viewers?
That's a tough one.
Right?
If it would really depend on the actor. They would have to find someone who could pull it off like Stacy Keach did. And
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, I would have to sit and think of if I could think of someone who could pull this off.
Right.
And I mean, it would be tough, but hey, it's not a difficult movie, so
Hmm.
possibly, man. I would think so.
Okay. Okay. And do you think audiences would accept it? I mean, this movie, didn't do big numbers back in 1981. As a matter of fact,
Right.
it was kind of a bomb. And I
Yeah.
think it's just one of those movies that kind of got a little bit of cult following years after, and especially for people that are fans of Jamie Lee Curtis. So, but do you think it would be successful with audiences today?
Again, it would depend on who you have in the role, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
Like you put Jason Momoa in it, who knows what could happen? You
Oh,
know what I mean? I'm
jeez.
not saying
Come on,
I'm just
man.
saying.
That wouldn't even work for a
I'm just
minute. You gotta have a good actor, Coriander.
I know
Stacy
that's
Keach
my
is
whole point. You couldn't have someone who's like some good eye candy to play this role because you need someone who can act and
right.
pull it off.
Oh
But
man.
yeah, that's a tough question to answer with audiences because you never know how people are going to react to movies.
Right.
Look at how people reacted to Candyman. I mean, come on,
Right.
there's that's a tough question to answer. So,
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this type of movie could be made today because I think a lot of audiences they want a lot of, bombastic stuff happening, kills and gore and stuff like that. I mean, you see that even in horror movies of today, and I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but I think movies like this, where they take its time to really build up tension, I just don't think that those types of movies are accepted as easily by the masses. The people that are hardcore horror fans, they could probably accept it and so forth. But I think to the general public, it would just be looked at as too slow or not enough going on. Even this movie, I'm sure a lot of people that have seen it may not really dig it, but I personally really liked it because of the mystery and the tension. So um, Rusty was saying, I don't think it could as a PG these days, considering the storyline. If it weren't R with good actors, it would go to the dollar bin. Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Shane saying the editing style of horror films is so much different now. It's become a lot of blood and a lot of fast cuts, which is too bad. I'm not sure that audiences have the patience or the attention today. Yeah, and that's exactly how I feel too. Um, I just think it's a different time. It's a,
Which is too bad because these are great movies, and not
yeah.
every because I love gore and
Hmm.
violence and blood and everything else, but you don't always need it. So it's
Right.
too bad, you know. These
I
young
agree.
people these days, it's like they're crazy.
It's
And
probably
it's
some
funny
some
to
of the
say that because I never thought I'd hit an age where I'd be saying that. So
well, I was
that
just
in
about to
turn
say,
kind of freaks me out also.
well, no, but I think there's a lot of people that are older too that look at it that way too, because I think that the movie industry has groomed people to want, more blood or more scares or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
mean, obviously, yeah, the young people that didn't grow up with these types of films, it's kind of alien to them, but I think it's the regular public too. I really do. Um, Neil was saying, I think A24 has done a few of these types of film in the past few years, and I like them. Yeah, I think so. I think so. And Dan saying these kids today. But yeah,
Right?
A24 definitely has done some movies that have the atmosphere and the tension and so forth. And they've been met with varying degrees of success, but I have also enjoyed them too, Neil. I totally agree with you. Um, Rusty was saying, agreed, just did a vid on A24, The Hole in the Ground. Not a lot of gore, blood, and stuff, and it's a masterpiece. Yeah, I haven't seen that
Yeah.
yet, but I might have to
Nice.
check out your vid, man. If
Right?
you're saying it's a masterpiece, then I'm definitely, because I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it yet. And
Nice.
good old Patrick, as usual, sleeping on A24. He knows that they've got some good movies. Maybe not as many as he'd like to see, but they've got some good movies. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much all we've got for road games. If you haven't seen it, I would recommend it. I really would. And if you haven't seen it in a long time, like I was in that camp, it was so long I didn't really remember the movie, so it was like a first watch
Yeah.
for me. But I love
Nice.
this movie. It's great.
Yay.
This is
It
one of
is.
my favorite movies that we've done on this slasher movie club series. It's really really good.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Shane was saying as we head on out, how about Keach and Curtis reunite for a sequel a la Halloween 2018? That would be cool, man.
All
Yeah,
right.
they had great chemistry on the screen, man. They really did. Neil saying the Black Coat's daughter was another good one from A24. Yes, and I still
Hmm.
haven't seen it yet, but I have heard so many good things about it. One of these days, I'm gonna
Hmm.
I'm gonna watch it. One of these days. But um, before we head on out, let's talk about, or at least let the folks know what we're going to be diving into next week for next episode, Coriander. Here
Yeah.
we are. I'll put this card up on the screen. Next week, we'll be talking about Madman.
Yeah.
Woohoo! So, for you
Now I
guys
haven't
that
seen this one.
I have not seen it either, I've heard of it.
I've heard
Um,
about it, right?
but I've never seen it. This is available on Tubi and Roku, I believe. So for you guys
Yeah.
that generally hang out with us on Monday nights, please, if you get a chance to watch it in the next week, please watch it, and we'll be able to discuss it as a group next week. But it
Yeah.
is free, so there's nothing
Yeah.
cheaper than free, guys. So, anyways, but
Right?
yes, so next week we'll be talking about Madman,
Yeah.
and I think that'll be a fun episode too. Let's see. Death Central. Kevin is saying Madman Mars. Nice one. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I'm excited because, like I said, I've heard of the movie, but I don't think I've ever
Yeah.
seen it. And if I did, it
Same.
was so long ago. See, I watched a lot of horror also when I was a kid, a young kid. And there were a lot of things that I just never reconnected with because I didn't really start collecting movies like hardcore until I was like in my late teens. So there was a period of probably about, I'd say, at least 8 years or so that it was movies that I would rent from the video store or maybe catch on cable or something like that. So there were a lot of movies that I got disconnected from. So again, this series has been great to see movies for the first time or reconnect with them.
Yeah.
Patrick saying, good stream. Thanks a lot, man. We appreciate it. And please, if you have not, hit the like button. That'll definitely help support the channel. We'd appreciate it. And just as importantly, please leave us a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you think of road games. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And why? And hopefully we can have a discussion there. So, all right, guys, we will catch you guys next week. And Shane was also saying Madman is free on YouTube as well. Okay, so there you
Nice.
go. There you
Yeah.
go.
No
Sounds
excuses.
good. I was just about to say that. Good call. Good call, Coriander. So, anyways, guys, thanks for joining us. Tomorrow night, we're going to actually have a special stream at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And hopefully you
Yeah.
guys can pop in and say hi. It's going to be kind of, well, I don't want to spoil the surprise, but it'll be a fun one.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we will catch you guys next time. And yeah, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace out, guys.
Update.